Hello, everybody, and welcome to TGFF Game Day. That's right, TGFF Game Day brought to you by Dorsey Auto Sales. Let's get started! All right, we are ready for week 12 here on TGFF Game Day, and we've enjoyed just having a great time. And sorry about last week, Uncle Bobby. I just don't understand how he finds a way to cut the power off here and then do his show. I mean, come on, where was he at? I mean, this guy is just driving me nuts. But anyway, let's get back to what happened last week. We had some huge surprises. One of the biggest ones, of course, last week was Wake Forest taking out Virginia 16-9. That's right, Wake Forest, who just got dismantled by Florida State the week before, goes into Virginia, a ranked Virginia team, number 14 in the nation, and gets the win, and now is bowl eligible. Not only did we see that in the ACC, but we saw Cal take out number 15th ranked Louisville. That's right, in overtime, 29 to 26. That game was crazy. We saw Auburn almost get the upset on Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt was able to come away with a victory. Lots of craziness all of last week, and I tell you what, it looks like it's that time of year. Lots of things can happen, and we're looking forward to a big week this week. Well, let's get started right now, and we're brought to you by Pepsi Cola. That's right, Pepsi Cola, bringing us the SEC by the Coach's Box. My guys at the Coach's Box, make sure you go and watch their YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff on the SEC, lots of great things on high school basketball. You name it, they do it. We love the Coach's Box, giving us the SEC news and notes. Let's go straight to them. Brought to you by
Callie from the Coach's Box, Call It Like We See It podcast, and Off the Rails Media. I'm here again this week to preview just a couple of SEC games for you, like we have the last few weeks. And we're going to see just a little bit of kind of how the stretch run for the SEC is looking. We're going to talk about 3 games like we have in the past. And there's some pretty good matchups this week. Not everybody's in. It's a bye week for some of those teams. We're going to pass on the Citadel game against whoever they're playing from the SEC because that shouldn't even be a game anymore. Why are we still scheduling the Citadel? I have no idea. We need to stop doing that. All right. So let's get right into it. But first, actually, let's take one moment to say something about our presenting sponsor from Pepsi. This SEC preview segment is brought to you by Pepsi. Whether you're gearing up for game day, hanging out with friends, or just need that perfect, refreshing break, nothing hits the spot quite like an ice-cold Pepsi. Bold, crisp, and always refreshing, Pepsi is the taste that fuels the moment. So crack open a Pepsi and go watch some SEC football. All right. We are definitely going to preview the Texas A&M at Missouri. As you can see behind me, yes, I am a Missouri fan, but we'll get more into that later as we go. All right. But the first game we're going to preview is the new look LSU Tigers that nobody knows what they're going to look like this week, post Brian Kelly, going to number 4 Alabama. Alabama is a 10.5-point favorite. It's the 7:30 p.m. game Saturday night. And it's probably the marquee game of the week in the SEC, even though only one of the teams is ranked. But the big question is going to be, what does LSU look like under interim coach Frank Wilson? I don't think anybody has any idea because they didn't have much of an identity under Brian Kelly, especially offensively. They were trying to win games defensively, but I don't know if they've got enough offense to be able to help their defense out. That only goes so far, and it showed in the second half of that Texas A&M game last week where they just got waylaid. So I'm I'm going to say the LSU defense would have to play lights out, their best game, out of their mind, all those analogies that we can talk about in order for LSU to even have a chance to win this game. But LSU, if LSU can run the ball, which they haven't all year, they've been horrible. I think they ran the ball well against Southeast Louisiana. That's not a good sign going up against Alabama in their front. Now, Alabama does have some. They have shown some vulnerability on that D line, especially trying to defend against the run this year. It showed in the Missouri game. It showed in the Vanderbilt game. But I don't know that LSU can run the ball well enough. I don't think they're good enough in the trenches up front offensively to be able to do enough to keep the Alabama offense off the field and allow their defense to get rested. I see this Alabama offense under Ty Simpson he won't win the game himself. Ty Simpson won't. But I think when they go to the run game against LSU and be able to chew up some of that clock and wear down that defense by the third quarter and fourth quarter, I think that defense is just going to be so tired they're not going to be able to defend. So I'm going to say, while LSU gets a little bit of a spark under the interim coach, they all like Frank Wilson. I've heard lots of great things during player interviews this week about his role and what he does with those players. They'll get a little bit of a spark there, but going to Bryant-Denny Stadium under the lights against number 4 Alabama, it's a 28-17 win for Bama. Probably could be more, but I bet you it's I'm going to go 28-17. Alabama barely covers the spread on this one. Next, we're going to move on to Auburn at Vanderbilt. There's a theme here between these two games. It won't go into the third one, but the theme here is teams with new coaches and how do they fare. So we're going to see, how does Auburn post Hugh Freeze? How do they fare against a number 16 Vanderbilt, who is a 6.5-point favorite? How do they fare after coming off of that close loss at Texas last week? Man, the Vanderbilt offense and Diego Pavia didn't look particularly good last week, and they somehow still almost found a way to get themselves back into that game at the end. So this will be a defining moment for Vanderbilt. Are they really for real? Or can Auburn get enough of a spike from being the post Hugh Freeze under new coach? I don't even know who their new coach is. I should have looked that up, but I don't think it matters at all because I don't think Auburn's very good at all. Auburn's offense is horrible. They can't throw the ball. They can't run the ball. They can't block. They can't catch. Their defense doesn't do anything special enough. Now, I haven't seen this team outside of Hugh Freeze, but I thought they were so wildly disorganized as a team. And you can see some of that on those fan blogs that you never really knew what you were going to get out of Auburn. But they found ways to stay close in games. I think a lot of their games are one possession losses. I think that doesn't happen here. I think Vanderbilt gets off the schneid. While they did look vulnerable last week, I think they get back on track this week. And I'm picking Vanderbilt in a 28-10 win over Auburn. All right. And our third game is our only SEC game that features two ranked teams. Number 3, Texas A&M, the 7.5-point favorite, at number 22, Missouri. The real question here as a Missouri fan is as I'm looking at this game, do I look at it with my head? Do I look at it with my heart? Because my head says one thing, my heart wants to say something completely separate, and I'm going to give you both here in just a little bit. But Texas A&M is really, really good, and they showed it in that second half against LSU. They looked unstoppable last week in that second half. Marcel Reed is gaining very quickly in the Heisman talk and going to put himself in one of those chairs at New York to give himself a chance. So that's one quarterback situation, a very solid situation at A&M. And Missouri has an unknown. They have freshman Matt Zollers making his first start after the injury to Bo Pribula last week, who'll be out for a little bit. Zollers looked pretty good in the time that he had against or in the game last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say. And last game, he looked pretty good. He's had a couple of weeks to prepare, and I think he's going to be ready to go. He looks like a gamer. That's also the heart versus the head talking. Freshman quarterback versus upstart quarterback. So the real battle here, though, is going to be A&M's offensive line, a very, very good offensive line, against a very, very good defensive line in Missouri, led by Zion Young. They have wreaked havoc in all of these in their last few games against ranked opponents. They were in the backfield a bunch against Vanderbilt and Diego Pavia, and gave Vanderbilt a look that they hadn't seen, where Pavia used to, for the first part of the season, was just able to do whatever he wanted back there with no pressure, and Mizzou was able to bring pressure on that offensive line that hadn't been giving it up. And they did the same thing Mizzou did against Alabama several weeks ago as well. So if Mizzou can bring pressure on A&M and get Marcel Reed off of his looks, off of his reads, and off of his spots, I think it gives them a chance, because this defense will keep them in games. The offense just has to be given the opportunity and do enough against a really good Texas A&M defense to try to put some points on the board. It's going to be very hard for them to do that, I think. So I've got two picks here with this. My brain says one thing. My brain says A&M 34-17. I think A&M's really, really good. I think Mizzou is really good. I don't know. The unknowns of Matt Zollers at quarterback and what he can do for this offense, really, for a whole game, needs to be seen. And it's trial by fire going against the number 3 team in the country. But my heart says Mizzou wins 31-28 on a last-minute play. So I don't know. You can take whatever pick you want there with that. My fandom says one thing, and any of you guys that are fans that say I'm a homer, that's fine. I'm okay. I'm okay with being a homer for Mizzou, because I'm a fan, and any of you fans for all of yours, you would do the same thing as well. So those are our 3 games for the week. It should be a good week of football. All kinds of good games all over the country. Have yourself a Pepsi. Tune in and watch some football this week. Until next week, we'll see you later. Have a good one.
Appreciate the SEC news and notes for this week. Those guys, they do such a great job, and we want to thank them. Now, let's go to our underdog. That's right, the underdog pick of the week. And I understand Ralphie is back. That's right, Ralphie's back. He's given us his underdog picks of the week. Let's see what he does. And that's brought to you by Sitting Pretty Dog Grooming. That's right, Sitting Pretty Dog Grooming. Make sure you see Felicia and Emma. They will do you right in Anderson, South Carolina, but serving the whole upstate. Let's go to Ralphie and the Sitting Pretty Dog Grooming pick of the week.
Hey everybody, it's your old pal Ralphie, and I want to give you my picks of the week. Give me Pitt over Notre Dame. Pitt over Notre Dame this week, and also give me Clemson over Louisville. This week's underdog picks of the week brought to you by Sitting Pretty Dog Grooming.
Wow, Ralphie. He's got some crazy picks. Let's see how they do. He's been off and on every week, so hopefully it does better. All right, now let's get to my SoCon news and notes for the week, brought to you by Ardensburg and Grill in Central South Carolina and Beef and Rib in Westminster, South Carolina. So let's go to the SoCon news and notes. Take it away, me. Hello, everybody. This is Jay here for week 12 of the Southern Conference News and Notes, brought to you by Ardensburg and Grill in Central South Carolina, and also Beef and Rib in Westminster, South Carolina. Last week I took a hit. Boy, I didn't know what I was talking about. That's sad. I mean, I'm in the media. I should know some of these things. So this week, we're going to try to do a little bit better. All right, well, let's get right to it. ETSU travels to Western Carolina. This is going to be an interesting game. Western Carolina last week got beat by Mercer in a game that I thought Western Carolina, being at home, was going to have the edge, but they didn't. I think they have the edge this week. I'm going to take them over ETSU. As much as I've been an ETSU fan this year, I think that Western Carolina in this game bounces back at home against East Tennessee State. VMI travels to Furman this weekend. That's going to be a great game. Look for VMI to come into Furman and meet a Furman team that just needs to finish out strong. They need this win right here. I think Furman gets the win over VMI, though VMI has been playing very well of late. The next game I want to talk about is Sanford going to Appalachian State or APSU. Sanford's just not having it this year. It's a team that I think it just needs another year under the system that they got. But APSU gets the win there. Wofford travels to the Citadel. This game is going to be very interesting. I think that when it's all said and done, Citadel gets the win over Wofford, even after getting beat pretty bad by Ole Miss last week, but everybody kind of expected that. But I think Citadel bounces back. They're at home. Wofford's been playing pretty good, so you can't discount them, but I think it's Citadel in this game. And the last game is UTC going to Mercer. Mercer showed its stuff last week, and I think they got it this week. Give me Mercer over UTC, the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. All right, this has been this Southern Conference News and Notes. I want to thank each and every one of you each and every week for following TGFF Game Day. Appreciate you. And also, don't forget our sponsors. Go by. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Ardensburg Grill in Central South Carolina. That's Donnie and Paul there. Wing Day every Wednesday, $10.99. Get you some wings, fries, and a nice cool glass of tea. And if you mention TGFF Game Day, 10% off. Also, don't forget Beef and Rib in Westminster, South Carolina. Same deal, except for they do meat and threes all the time. The only day they're closed is on Monday. There you had it, the SoCon News and Notes for this week. Brought to you by Ardensburg Grill in Central South Carolina and Beef and Rib in Westminster, South Carolina. Make sure you go by and see them. We appreciate everything they do for us here at TGFF Game Day. Now, let's go to our girl. That's right, Des, bringing us the ACC News and Notes for this week. Let's see what 3 games Des has got for us this week. Des, break it down for us and give us what only you can give us, and that is who of the 3 is going to win this week. Brought to you by Clemson Family Wish. Make sure you go by ClemsonFamilyWish.com. Give today and help somebody get the wish granted that they need.
Hello everyone, it is your favorite pretty girl Des of Pretty Girls Love Sports, and I'm here to break down and give you the top 3 games going on in the ACC this week. The ACC is kind of busted wide open right now, so there's a lot at stake here. And my first game of the week is probably a little lower on the totem pole, but it would be UVA versus Duke. Both of these teams are coming off of a loss. They're really looking forward to get back into groove. Now, UVA is sitting at 8-2, nice and comfortable, but Duke is also nice and comfortable within conference play, but they are at 5-4. Both these teams only have 1 conference loss, so either one could really hold the driver's seat to their future when it comes to the ACC championship. I also just want to note that this will kind of be a defensive game, even though Duke's Mensa is doing really, really well on the season so far. 2,794 yards, 24 touchdowns with 4 interceptions, compared to Chandler Morris, who has 2,800 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. But I feel like I said, it's going to be the battle of the defense. Duke is led by Caleb Weaver, safety, and so far on the season, he has 62 tackles. And on the other side, linebacker Cam Robinson has 64 tackles. So both of these teams are going to be highly competitive, and it's going to be a shaker. They are at Duke, and right now ESPN has Duke by a 60.7% lead to win this game. So they're favored here. I don't know, guys. We have to really figure that one out. But that is the first game of the week. Moving on to my second game of the week, and a game that a lot of people are going to be talking about. College game day is going to be on campus in Pittsburgh, real grungy football, and that is going to be number 9 Notre Dame facing 22 Pitt. They both are 7-2. Both are really trying to have some playoff contentions, and still Pitt is also looking for that ACC championship seat as well. So coming into this game, a lot lot of things to reconsider. This will be the 73rd time that they face off, and Duke is leading, and their score with this is 50, 21, and 1. So Pitt is looking to really tack one up. They're also going to be doing Aaron Donald's jersey retirement during halftime. Super duper sentimental game. The game is basically sold out. So this is definitely going to be one that people really are going to be looking out for and really want to see. The Irish are looking strong, and they're really trying to, like I said, strengthen those playoff contentions. And I think that they can do it at this game. They're really going to show up in a different way. Pitt may have a chip on their shoulder, and it's like, how could you lose at home after you're doing a jersey retirement? They have to pull one out. But I just think that the Irish can fight their way and go ahead and add a 51 to this record. I do want to say that CJ Carr is doing great things so far on the season. 2,275 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. And running back Jeremiah Love has 988 yards so far on the season. Really chef's kiss over there. Their defensive linebacker Drake Bowen so far on the season has 55 tackles. So I definitely think that this game is going to be one that really shows you their identity on both sides of the ball. Tough game. Tough game, but this is something that's been going on since 1909. So there's no surprises here when it comes to this matchup. And moving on to the last game in the ACC that I think is going to be top 3, one to watch out for, is NC State versus Miami. Now, I say this because NC State is coming off of a great win, giving Georgia Tech their first loss of the season. So they're really playing for, and they're really having full force. CJ Bailey is commendable and continuing to grow right before our eyes. This Wolfpack team is looking to make another upset in the top 25. Can Miami be beat? Absolutely. We've seen them lose. So we know that they are definitely beatable. And again, led by CJ Bailey. And so far on the season, he is, in his last game, he was 24 for 32, 340 yards, and had 2 touchdowns. Their rushing was led by Jaden Scott. He had 24 carries, 196 yards, and 1 touchdown. And then their receiving yards was led by Teddy Huffman, 3 receptions, 74 yards, 1 touchdown. So this NC State team is really finding their identity, figuring out who they are, and you're starting to see it come out on the field. They've had some tough losses, some really other close games. So this one, I feel like they're going to put up a challenge when it comes to Miami. Miami, on the flip side, has had a lot of close games, 2 of them in which they lost in terms of ACC play. They had FSU, very close game. They did lose to Louisville, and they also lost to SMU. So they're on a comeback. They're trying to get that energy up. They want to get back into what the Miami standard has been, not only just for this season, but really for their program. So they're really trying to wake things up and really continue to drive their force in the ACC with getting to this ACC championship game. Something that they failed to do very, very shortly, failed to do last year. So they're trying to make up for lost time, and I think they can pull it out. I think they can do it, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as they may think that it will be against this NC State Wolfpack team. I want to go ahead and talk about Carson Beck. Last game, he was 18 for 24, 247 yards with 1 touchdown. And then they had Pringle Jr. leading their rushing with 7 carries, 55 yards, and 1 touchdown. And then for their receiving yards, they had Keelan Marin, 3 receptions, 116 yards, and 1 touchdown. This game for sure is going to be very defense heavy. And unfortunately for NC State, I think this is where they're going to have their drawbacks. They're not that great when it comes to defensive schemes. They've allowed way too many points from their opponents. So they're really going to be tested here against this Miami defense. The Miami defense is really, really strong with holding off with points. And I think that that's something that we're going to see come this game. So these are my top 3 games. I put up before. These are my top 3 games coming in for the ACC. Make sure you're watching them and let me know what you think. I'm so happy to report. And remember, I am Des with Pretty Girl Self Sports, and make sure you are checking me out. And I will see you on the next one.
All right, everybody, there you had it. Des knows what she's talking about. Make sure you go and follow her at PG Love Sports. That's right, PG Love Sports on Twitter. PrettyGirlsLoveSports.com. Make sure you support her. She's also with us at GreenvilleSportsMedia.com. Check out all her content. You will not go wrong. All right, now let's go to our Big Ten, brought to you by Cowboy Revolution. Make sure you use the code GSM and you can save 10% or more on your order. And with Christmas coming up, now's the time to get it. That's code GSM, and that is for CowboyRevolution.com. Now let's go to Mark with our Big Ten news and notes for this week.
Good evening, football fans. This is Mark. I'm back bringing you the Big Ten preview for this weekend, as well as a recap from last weekend. This is going to be brought to you by Cowboy Revolution. Please make sure that you go check them out and get your cowboy gear on. I mentioned Greenville Sports Media. You get 10% off of your purchase as well. So, definitely go give them a look out because, like I said, it's well worth it. We got some cool gear that we like to sport from those guys as well. So talking about the Big Ten right now, the Big Ten is definitely starting to take shape. You got some teams that are looking to try to stay in the college football playoff relevancy. You got others that are, trying to just stay, for a bowl game. So there's a lot going on right now in the Big Ten. Last week we almost had a big upset with Penn State over Indiana. I did say Penn State would win that game. However, it looks like I was wrong. Indiana did come away with that crazy catch there at the end. If you haven't seen it, please go check that out. To try to keep their Big Ten title hopes alive. Definitely was a really, really good game. As a Penn State student, it was heartbreaking. I was hoping we was definitely going to come away with that big win. This week, we've definitely got some interesting games going on. Maybe not like it says some marquee teams, but you definitely have some interesting storylines going on right now. One thing is Oregon playing on a Friday night. How often do you get to see a possible national championship team on a Friday night? Well, you're going to get to see them this weekend against Minnesota, as Minnesota will be coming to Oregon to play that Friday night. Trying to spoil Oregon's chances at the Big Ten title. I'm still going to take Oregon on that one, but that's not one of the games I really wanted to talk about. I just thought it was really interesting that they're going to be playing on a Friday night. The three games that I did choose this week, the first one, I'm going to go with Maryland versus Illinois. Now, this one right here, it doesn't have like big contentions as far as, for the Big Ten title and stuff. However, both of these teams are trying to position themselves for a nice bowl game. Illinois, they've been up and down, been one of the enigmas of the conference this year. Maryland's played very, very well, trying to reignite that passing game. Illinois, though, I still think is very, very good football team. And I look for Illinois to kind of take this one, edging out Maryland, in a pretty close game. The next one, we're going to talk about Northwestern and Michigan. Northwestern and Michigan playing at Wrigley Field, which is definitely really, really cool, seeing that. Right now, Michigan is not the world beaters that, a lot of people thought they would be. Bryce Underwood has been playing good at times, but at times, you can still tell he's a freshman. Justice Haynes is still really, really good at running back. But Northwestern's defense has been shown to be able to frustrate some teams. So, don't think Northwestern is going to back down from this one. Michigan is still trying to stay relevant in the college football playoff. I think this week, though, their hopes go away. I think Northwestern is going to pull out the upset and beat the Wolverines this week. So give me Northwestern in this big game at Wrigley Field. Like I said, it's going to be a tough game, but Northwestern is definitely an underrated team, and they're going to come away with this one. My next one is Iowa versus USC. It's going to be a typical defense versus offense type of thing. Like Iowa, gave Oregon fits last week. Oregon was able to come away with that win, but, it was a really, really tight game. USC does not have half the team that Oregon is. They have a lot of speed. They have a lot of talent. but they do not have, the same pieces that Oregon has. Iowa, that defense is just ferocious. They play hard. They get at the football. They're gonna come right at USC and try to punch them in the mouth also. Iowa's gonna get this one in this one, so I'm gonna go with Iowa in the upset on this one as well. So I picked 2 upsets. Give me Northwestern over Michigan, Iowa over USC, and also got Illinois over Maryland, which is not really an upset. But right now, like I said, Ohio State, I think they're going to fare pretty easily against UCLA. I don't think Oregon's really have any problems with Minnesota. Indiana is at Wisconsin. So those big teams, they should come away with wins there. So yeah, these 3 games are the ones that I'm really looking at. So yeah, definitely tune in next week. I'll recap the games this weekend, and we'll talk about the next weekend's games. All right, guys. Well, enjoy the football this weekend, because it's getting ready to come to an end, guys. Just as quickly as it got here, as quickly as it leaves. Y'all have a good night.
Appreciate you, Mark, giving us our Big Ten news and notes for this week. Some great picks right there. Some great news and notes. Of course, go to redbubble.com. Use the collection is Furman Joust or Greenville Sports Media. Either way, it'll show it for you and get the gear. Now let's go to our Cheerwine. That's right, Cheerwine. You know me. I've always got to have my Cheerwine here. Cheerwine, bringing you our picks of the week. That's right, the picks of the week brought to you by Cheerwine. The taste of the South. You can't get no better than a nice cold Cheerwine. All right, folks. Now, here's our Week 12 games that we have picked, and I'm going to go by a couple of us here. First game is going to be Wofford at Citadel. Man, this is going to be a great game. It's actually going to be the game of the SoCon this week. This game right here, because it's being played at Citadel, give me Citadel to beat Wofford this week. Wofford's been doing really good. They're getting back into playing good football. But I just think the Citadel, even though they lost to Mississippi, which is, of course, a D1 highly ranked football team, I think they come back this week and put a good effort in and give me the Citadel over Wofford. Next game up is going to be Coastal Carolina at Georgia Southern. This used to be a battle of the Sun Belt versus the SoCon, but Georgia Southern now, of course, is in the Sun Belt. And I think this week, Coastal Carolina sneaks into Georgia Southern and gets the win. That's right. Give me Coastal Carolina in this game. The next game up is Liberty at FIU, Florida International. This is going to be a very interesting game. But I think when it's all said and done, Liberty comes out with the win at FIU. The next game is, of course, Friday night. That's right, Clemson at Louisville. A game that a lot of us in the South are really going to be watching to see what happens. Clemson, having just a horrid year, has played up and down. Had a great week last week against FSU, whereas Louisville went to Cal had Cal come in and lost. That's right, lost. And I think because of that loss, give me Clemson in this game by 3. The next game we have is Air Force going to UConn. This game is going to be very interesting. When I looked at this game, because of Air Force's struggles this year, at first I was going to pick UConn, but you know what? Give me Air Force in this game over UConn. The next game is Texas traveling to Georgia. The SEC at its best, right? Give me Georgia in this. Gunnar Stockton outduels Mr. Manning and gets his home win versus Texas. The next game is Purdue traveling to Washington. If this was at Purdue, I think this game would be a lot closer, and I might even throw the edge to Purdue. But because it's being played in Washington, give me Washington over Purdue. The Boilermakers go down when they get to Washington. And then our game of the week, Notre Dame at Pittsburgh. This game is going to be really good. I really think, of course, Notre Dame needs this win. They need a ranked win against a highly sought-after Pitt team. Pitt, because I'm hearing it has a sold-out stadium. They do play where the Steelers play, and usually a sold-out stadium is not really a sold-out stadium, but this game, from what I understand, is between the Notre Dame fans and the Pitt fans will be sold out, but I think it's going to be the part of the game where the fans will help Pitt get this win. Give me Pitt in a game won by less than 3 points. That's right. If Pitt wins, it'll be less than 3. If it's not a sellout, so I'm just telling you now, if it's not a true sellout and there's lots of empty seats, Notre Dame wins this by 10 or more points. That's what we have for this week. Now I'm going to let you know that one of our guys, Steve, Coach Steve, wanted to give his picks on this. So Steve picked the Citadel, Coastal Carolina, FIU, Louisville, UConn, Georgia, Purdue, and Pitt. And then one of our other guys, Nathan, of course, picked Notre Dame over Pitt. And I tell you what, fans, it's going to be a very fun weekend. And unfortunately, we come to that part of the show that we hold our breaths and hope that this guy does not make a huge mess of this show. Folks, let's take it to Uncle Bobby once again, and hopefully he hasn't destroyed anything or drank anything or shot anything. To Uncle Bobby with our Point RV at Lake Hartwell game picks. And of course, this has been brought to you by Cheerwine. Nothing's better than an ice cold Cheerwine when you're watching the game. All right, and now let's go to our Big 12. Big 12. And it's brought to you by Doobie. That's right, Doobie. Doobie energy drinks. Go to doobie.gg and you too can get the best energy drinks that are on the line right now. That's right, the best energy drinks to make you feel good. That's right, doobie.gg. Let's go to the Big 12 news and notes. Hello everybody, this is Jay here. This week filling in for the Big 12 news and notes. And we're going to go over 3 quick games that are in the Big 12 that are newsworthy. First one is Arizona at number 25, Cincinnati. This game right here is going to be at noon. Give me Cincinnati in this game. Arizona has a lot of issues going on right now, but I do believe that it'll be a good game to watch. So if you're definitely watching, it's going to be on FS1, and that is, of course, Arizona at Cincinnati. The next game I want to talk about, UCF going to Texas Tech University, number 6 in the nation. Boy, this team has definitely made a huge difference in the Big 12. They are a very good team, very well coached, got some great players. They've definitely invested in the players at Texas Tech, and you can't blame them. I mean, it's you can do it now. So if you're going to do it right. And they've definitely got a great team on going. So this game, I love UCF, but I do not love them in this game. Give me Texas Tech over UCF. And the last game I want to talk about is going to be TCU at BYU. BYU coming off the loss last week at Texas Tech. Now they're at home. TCU comes in there. Give me BYU in this game. BYU, I think, bounces back very well and gets the win over a very well-coached TCU team, but just not enough ammo to go against BYU. But, upsets do happen. And even though I said 3, I'm going to give you a 4th one. We got number 13 Utah going to Baylor. I think this could be a trap game. Give me Baylor in an upset over Utah. All right, this has been Jay with your Big 12 news and notes for week 12. Thank you for listening. Now back to Jay. All right, folks, right there, Doobie Energy. You can get all kinds of special things, especially this time of year. Make sure you go by doobie.gg, and we appreciate them sponsoring our Big 12 news and notes. And now let's go to our guy over in the Mountain West. That's right, the Mountain West. Brought to you by redbubble.com. That's right, go to redbubble.com. It's on our website at the bottom. You'll see it. Click on it. Use the code Furman Joust. That's right. Look for the Furman Joust collection, and you can get all of our podcasts, all of our gear that you see, like you see here, the TGFF Game Day, the Orange Shades, you name it, a whole pack of wolves, Fun Fans podcast, a Clemson podcast, you name it, right there at redbubble.com. All the gear. Get the gear. Now let's go to the Mountain West for our news and notes for this week, week 12. This is Jay once again. This week I'm filling in for the Mountain West. So let's go with what's going on out there. Of course, our game of the week, one of our games of the week is going to be Air Force at UConn. We'll talk about more of that on that particular time. But let's go to San Jose State taking on Nevada at Nevada. This will be on CBS at 3:30. Give me San Jose State in this game. I think they come out on top, even though it's being played at Nevada. The next game will be USU taking on UNLV at UNLV. This game will be at 7 o'clock. Of course, this is all Pacific time, and it'll be also on CBS SN. Give me UNLV. UNLV football has really gotten a lot better, and I think it's going to be a great game for UNLV as they get the win. And finally, the last game is San Diego State at home, welcoming Boise State. That's right, Boise State going into San Diego State University. Give me Boise State getting the upset in the Mountain West this week. All right, there you go. That's our Mountain West news and notes for this week. Thanks for watching.
Hello, everybody. It's your pal, Uncle Bobby, and I'm ready to go hunting. And you know what I'm hunting? I'm a hunting whitetail. That's right. We're going to talk about Wake Forest bringing in them Tar Heels. That's right. North Carolina's coming to Wake Forest, and this week they gonna get their butt whooped. I don't care about Billy Checky. I don't care about that North Carolina defense. They're not gonna be tearing up by Wake Forest Force. That's right. Wake Forest is gonna get the win this week. And then I'm gonna watch as my Tigers, that's right, the Clemson Tigers, they're gonna get the win. That's right, Clemson over Louisville on Friday night. They're gonna go into Louisville, they're gonna get on them horses, and they're gonna win over them Cardinals. That's right, they're gonna win over them Cardinals. Give me Clemson over Louisville Friday night, and give me Wake Forest over UNC. And that's not all. Give me Bama this time too. Bama's gonna get the win on Saturday. Talk to y'all later. Brought to you by the resort at Lake Hartwell. That's Point RV.
I am too embarrassed to show my face after listening to his complete nonsense. Folks, though it was complete nonsense, he had a better record than me last week, so I really can't say too much about him because he outdueled me last week. And heck, even had the power cut off and I couldn't even do this. And I understand Justin's going to be back too. So, Bobby, what you did, you won't get away with. But that was, of course, brought to you by Point RV at Lake Hartwell. If you're looking for a place to camp out, to relax, and to enjoy a great time, make sure you give them a call at the Point RV at Lake Hartwell. I would tell Bobby to tell you that, but he slurs too much and probably doesn't understand how to dial a phone. Yet somehow he knows how to cut off the power and make picks. Anyway, that's been TGFF Game Day for Week 12. We appreciate everything you do for watching our show. Thank you, and thank everybody that helps on our show. Of course, we also want to give a big shout out to GreenvilleSportsMedia.com, who brings you the show each and every week. Dorsey Auto Sales, thank you, Dorsey Auto Sales, for all that you do for us. If you're in Anderson or anywhere in the upstate, make sure you go by Dorsey Auto Sales, Whitehall Road in Anderson, South Carolina. They will steer you right. Of course, Pepsi, of course, Cheerwine, of course, Ardensburg and Grill, Beef and Rib, Doobie Energy, Cowboy Revolution, True Victory, you name it. Everybody that's Sitting Pretty Dog Grooming, thank you so much for this year so far. We couldn't do this show without you. And, of course, thank you to all you that watch the show and support us each and every week. Thank you. And hopefully Justin will be back next week along with the rest of the crew. So long, everybody.
TGFF, thank God for football. Game day. 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 You have tuned in to another episode of Thank God for Football, brought to you by the Fanboys, powered by Greenville Sports Media.